What would you do if your $5,000 allowance from your mother was reduced to $1,000 out of the blue? Well, 15-year-old Nicolette Gray decided to call Dr. Phil and seek justice. Not only did she get that ridiculously high allowance, but she also wanted a car worth over $200,000.
It seemed foolish to me. I just wouldn't spend it on a car.
Well, I want to. We're talking about me here.
Yeah,
this is my show.
Though at first, it seemed like Dr. Phil understood Nicolette and even took her side, soon it was proven to be quite the contrary when he told Nicolette she needed to get a job so she could make a contribution to society instead of taking from society.
You need a job.
No, I don't want a job.
Well, I know.
It's so much work.
Although, when the show finished, she did get a kind of job being a social media personality. Nicolette embraced her title as the Beverly Hills Brat and continued on her own. Less than a month after the episode aired, Nicolette posted a video of her 16th birthday present showing a G-Wagon. But that wasn't all. Nearly a month after that, she replaced that G-Wagon with another G-Wagon, but she also paid an adult to sit in her back seat while she drove since she was only 16 years old. When a 21-year-old girl named Bailey came to the show, Dr. Phil had to call off the interview at one point, feeling quite irritated. Bailey had been obsessed with a girl she had never met before, but fell in love with at first post. She had sent hundreds of messages over Twitter proclaiming her love for Jasmine, who resided states away, and said she'd never before interacted with Bailey. Jasmine contacted Bailey's mother and said that if she didn't get Bailey to stop contacting her, she would have her arrested. However, that didn't stop Bailey. On the contrary, she was sure that Jasmine had only contacted her mother because she cared about her. Throughout the interview, Bailey tried to dictate to Dr. Phil who should and shouldn't be allowed to appear on the episode, while flipping through emotions so dramatically and trying to make a victim of herself. That made Dr. Phil call her out by saying he was not into the melodrama.
I will be your laughing spectacle. You can all laugh at me. It's
Well,
fine.
you know what? I think we're just going to shut this down because I'm not into all this melodrama and you playing the victim and everything.
In 2016, Dr. Phil invited a family to take part in the show who said their 12-year-old was hearing voices ever since falling off her tricycle and hurting her head when she was only 3 years old. Aneska had battled with anger. Not only did she admit that, but she also said she regularly heard voices in her head telling her to harm her younger siblings. Among numerous violent acts, Aneska had had some quite extreme actions, such as threatening to kill her mother, choking her sister, chasing her siblings with a knife, stealing her mother's credit card, threatening the vice principal at her school, and even setting fire to the furniture. However, she hadn't only shown aggression towards people, she had tortured a few animals as well. It turned out she had killed her hamster with a flashlight and a nest of baby birds with her bare hands.
The voices told me if I don't save the baby birds, then they're gonna do something to my family, something bad. So I killed them.
As one of the more severe cases of the show, even Dr. Phil was creeped out when the psychotic little girl revealed her darkest fantasy. When Gabrielle showed up with her mother, it was clear that the viewers would be faced with a quite unusual mother-daughter relationship, and that the conversation would go south real fast.
Kaylee's even taken our daughter out shopping for sex toys. What parent does that, let alone their teenage daughter?
Gabrielle was a pot-smoking 14-year-old who had already started acting like her mother Kaylee, claiming she was old enough to be in a sexual relationship. However, when it was revealed that her mother approved that kind of behavior, Dr. Phil went mad. Even after he tried for a long time to explain to Kaylee that she was committing a federal crime, it seemed that she was not even close to understanding that what she had been doing was both wrong and a crime.
She's actively abusing this child. This child.
Even Gabrielle began to act out, which only made Dr. Phil more steamed, leaving him no other way than to finish the whole saga by telling both Kaylee and her husband their daughter needed to be removed from their care. At the time she appeared on the show, Brittany Lamb was a 16-year-old girl claiming high school was a joke and feeling like she had a bright future ahead of her as a YouTube star. After failing 9th grade 3 times in a row, Brittany was 100% sure she was too smart for high school. However, she was still planning on going to college for cosmetology and crime scene investigation. Besides, Brittany also had a problem with her parents, especially her mother, whom she thought was a psychopath. Feeling quite irritated at that point, Dr. Phil asked her to define a psychopath. However, Brittany repeatedly failed to do that.
You just don't think right. You don't think like a normal human would. You don't have a thought process.
Well, that's not what psychopath means at all.
Okay, then.
Nevertheless, she did want her mother to continue to do things for her while she spent her days at the skate park, drinking, using drugs, and chasing boys. She continued discussing her plans for the future while occasionally stating how Dr. Phil didn't scare her and how she knew every aspect on everything, which even left Dr. Phil speechless.
Well, you sure got me figured out.
Tom and Karen are the parents of a 15-year-old Madison, who had regularly terrorized her family. Madison had gotten so aggressive with her parents, it's become violent, causing her father to believe she might kill him. In addition to screaming when she doesn't get her way and throwing complete anger outbursts at age 15, Madison had also been charged with Grand Theft Auto. Though she had previously shown a lifelong disdain for her younger sister, the two had joined forces to become literal partners in crime. Madison stole and sold close to $20,000 of her parents' possessions, physically attacked them, and the night before the family appeared on Dr. Phil, was part of a group that robbed another person of his Xanax and drove the getaway car in a high-speed chase. However, when Dr. Phil called her out for taking her mother's car for a joyride, Madison decided to play dumb. Even after he put her social media post on the screen,
You have no remorse whatsoever. In fact, you're proud of it. You're posting it on social media. Look at me, woo hoo hoo.
Dr. Phil had had enough and made it very clear that he knew the full story and gave Madison a choice to either tell the truth or he would, which made the situation so intense that Madison eventually walked off the stage. When Courtney came to the show, she was a 17-year-old girl who felt no shame whatsoever about her too egotistic and overly aggressive behavior. Among her many outbursts, she had even duct taped a disabled kid's mouth shut, which led her parents to bring her and ask for help on TV.
He wouldn't shut up. He talks and talks and he just doesn't shut up. And like he just wouldn't shut up, so one day I just duct taped his mouth.
Though Dr. Phil tried his best to understand her way of thinking, Courtney wouldn't change her attitude, steadily responding with pretentious and overly confident statements, only boosting her egotistical ways. However, when Dr. Phil asked her to give him an explanation on why she was so special, her response wasn't so impressive, since she only managed to repeat the word everything. After realizing where the conversation was going, Dr. Phil suggested they plaster her name all over her school, but sadly, Courtney was too deluded to recognize the point he had intended to make.
Maybe we should do this at your school. We should just put Courtney everywhere like they have Dr. Phil here. But let me ask you,
Sherilyn appeared on the show as a 19-year-old girl who probably thought she was the richest teenager in the world. The teenager's mother wrote to the show after her daughter maxed out all 17 of her mother's credit cards and subsequently put them $25,000 in debt. She would buy makeup, shoes, and clothes daily, and she also had to eat in fancy restaurants. Besides, she even became a serious gambler, which caused her to take her mother's social security number and open up a gambling account online. Though she was a girl who could have everything she wanted, she had taken that too literally. When Dr. Phil tried to explain the seriousness of the situation to Sherilyn, she said it wasn't a crime since her mother had given her her social security number. After all, it was something that made her very happy. After he asked her why she had racked up all the debt, the teen coolly said it was because she could. Though there has been an ongoing debate on whether violent video games evoke aggressive behavior in both kids and adults, there was certainly more going on with a 12-year-old Alex than the video games he had been playing.
Jiggly jiggly, I'm coming for a booty.
As the episode went on, it became clear the preteen's online behavior was anything but normal. His mother, Jennifer, said her son had stayed up for 20 hours straight playing video games, sometimes didn't leave his room, and demanded that she cater to him. Not only would he play for so long, but this Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto addict would also often behave aggressively and disrespectful towards other players, as well as his mother.
When I tell him, watch your language, he'll tell me to shut the up and
get out. He will turn over furniture, he breaks dishes.
He'd gone as far as to lock his mother out of the house on one occasion and refused to let her back in until she brought him Starbucks. Though Dr. Phil tried to talk him through various factors that came into raising a kid, it was obvious that Alex didn't understand everything that goes into being an adult.
Thank you for checking this video out, and don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe for new videos every day. Turn that bell notification on and comment down below that you subscribed, and we'll make sure to reply and thank as many of you as we possibly can. Once again, thank you for watching and see you next time.